Okay, hello. We're streaming. Good. Okay, hi. Welcome back. More database stuff this week. Last week I complained about ORMs and I backed out of using persistent and Esqueleto, and I replaced it with postgresql-simple. And I got to the point where I could connect to the database, but I can't really do very much with it yet. So plan for tonight is, but the thing I really want to do actually is put in some resource pools using Data.Pool, so that we have a pool of connections rather than just a single one. But before that, we need something to connect to and to read. Like, there's no data in the database yet. So I could probably do some kind of schema, which means I probably need some kind of migrations. So plan is to set up some things in migrations using PostgreSQL migration. Get to the point where we have some tables in place, maybe to the point where I can run a simple query, and then look at using Data.Pool for a resource pool, so I can have a pool of connections, because that's just more realistic, I think. Like, the point of this project is to write Haskell in a more realistic way, the kind of way I would write if I was doing something in production. Okay, so that's the plan. Let's go. I kind of want that window. This is the library. I'm going to use PostgreSQL migrations. And basically I write some SQL files, and then I can use a standalone program, or I can write my own migration program. Not quite sure which one I'm going to do. Maybe I'll start with this because that'll be good enough. And then, I'll just write some simple SQL to create the table I need, and then make sure that I can access that table, I guess. Let me find this. That's not, oh, actually, what I was doing is right before I started, and the reason I'm slightly late is I forgot to run Docker. But it seems to now be running, and Postgres is running, so that's good. Okay, cool. Okay, so Cabal. I think I'm going to write an executable. I'm going to call it migrations, and I'll import shared because that's what I want for everything, and I'll say main is main, obviously, and HS source directories is going to be migrations. That's going to be confusing, is it? I'm going to call it migrate, just because I expect migrations to contain the migrations themselves. Although actually, I could put everything in there, couldn't I? Let's put everything in there. So I'll put min.hs, and I'll also put the migration files themselves. And before that, I'll say build depends. I'll say before that, don't really be upset. I'm going to rely on payme because I'm going to use that for the config loading and the config loading and the connection, I guess. And maybe just config loading because it does its own connections. And it's also going to depend on this library, which is PostgreSQL migration, and the version of this is 0218. Try again. Ooh. So it was 0218, I think. Okay, so you can go off and try and install that. And while that's going, I said it's going to be in a directory called migrations, and it's going to be in main.hs. And just give us a second, see if it'll catch up. There we go. Okay, so main is of type IO unit, and main is, and then I want to grab some stuff out of here, basically. So BS8, so we're going to be using byte string word 8, I guess. So we need byte string. What version is byte string? Let's bring up package. For byte string again. And 01210. Can I copy that? Look at that. Amazing mouse skills. So it's byte string and that version. Okay, and we'll import that, and we'll import, was it character rate or it's char rate, isn't it? Is it char rate? Doesn't say. I just look at the type of disk and find out. Just a byte string. Okay. So I will import that, and run migration is going to be from there. Con should be okay. Oops. Default options I'll need to import. Okay, so I don't seem to have overloaded string set up, which is, but I do have it here, so it should have worked out. That's a bit surprising. Oh, sorry, this pack, the one that I've imported, takes word 8 to byte string. Right, I see. The correct one would be that. So we're going to pack characters into a byte string. And this gives us back an answer. And then we just say that, but actually, we're probably going to print it out, don't we? Yeah, I want directory based. So oh, this is the initialization, right? Okay, so that's the first thing you'll do. I guess that creates a table that's required for this package. For the migrations itself, migrations table. Right, okay, so I'm just rewriting their program, but we can use case switching this. We can say, oh, we do need to do. What I'm thinking is that I can look at the first argument, and if it's initialized, then if it's initialized, then I will sorry, this is probably gonna get the arguments back. If it's init, then I will run the initialize. If it's migrate, then I'll run the migrations. So I can say case args of, so if it is init, then we will just say initialize. And if it's migrate, then I'll say migrate. And otherwise, I will say put strlen. Let me exit with the code. So we'll put strlen and say usage. What's this going to be called? Migrations. And then it's going to be init or migrate. And then hopefully I can say exit. I can't remember what the exit command is. Let's leave it as that for now. And then I can say init, initialize. It's just IO unit. Initialize. Equals to, and then that thing. Right. So a couple of things. So get args, I'll import. And these are there's lists of things. Okay, and then this migration initialize I got to import. Okay. So the migration, so an IO action and migrate equals to, and then I'll just copy that code. Okay, but I'm going to replace this thing with the config. So run migration, blah, 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 and then we can just say pure that. We got to worry about what comes back. So that, and there was a typo in their example. It's a bit too much effort to check out and fix typo on a live stream. I'll try and remember to do it after that. Okay. That's really what I want to do. Okay, but before we do that, we want to get a config. So in the other main, we have this thing. So load config, it comes from there. And now we have a config. And what do we do with the config? We don't print it out yet. What we want to do is dbconnect config pulls the db connection out of config. Okay, and the db connection is a byte string already. That's pretty handy. So in this main, we don't need to pack it. We should just be able to say config.dbconnection. No, I haven't enabled the record dot stuff. So we will import this. No. Yes. There we go. So then what we can do I guess I could copy and paste this, but it doesn't feel right. So I'm wondering if we can just stick it up here. So this will take a config. And goes there. In fact, they both need a DB connection, so I might as well connect before we carry on. Oops, there we go. That won't take a config, but it will take a connection. So whatever this gives me back, gives me an IO of a connection. So we say connection to that. Then we don't need any of this code. Right, so now we just run the migration. Help us stick on the variable. Okay, and then initialize con. Same thing for migration. pass it into here. And the directory, I need to work out what the directory is. So if I just say dot, that's going to be, I presume, the directory I'm running it from, not the directory this file is in, but actually I want to work out where this file is. So I want to get the current working directory, I suppose. Yeah, I think I do. To do that, how do I get the current working directory? We want saying it's a type IO file path. That wasn't super helpful. File path is the right thing, is that right? Is that a type? Yes, it is. Okay. But IO file path is not finding me anything helpful. Get CWD. Get current dir. Okay, that's not quite the type I expected, but that's why. What have you got this in? So pass IO, don't know what that is. Anything in base? Nothing in base. System.directory. That does give me back IO file path, which didn't match previously for some reason. So those things and make absolute. I don't really care about make absolute, I don't think, but it is another dependency, so we're going to need to pull in this thing. So back to here. Oh, didn't like that. Now it's happy again. Okay, so here I want to say get current directory. That should be it. And now my LSP is completely broken. And is it even running? Is it processing now? Okay, and I should be able to import that. Okay, so actually it should be get current directory, but then I want to join it to migrations, I guess. Okay, so what I really want to do, what I'd really like to do is say this. But this is an IO file path, and this is not an IO. So I could say, and actually what use is the current directory to me? It's not the current directory, it's really the directory of that file, but I don't know what that is. So let's just assume, after for all that effort that we're going to run in /migrations. And it's going to be let that equal that. Then we can get rid of these. Now in theory, I should be able to run migrations. Let me go back to Cabal file because I'm not using directory anymore. So Cabal run, and it is migrations. We have an error. Where's our error from? Let's go. We don't have the envar. I should be able to say set -x. Pay me DB connection. Did I work out what that was before? Yeah, I did. Developer migrations. I guess that's cool. Init. Well, before I do that, we have another window. I will say, what's our database called? It's called pay me, and the users pay me, and the passwords pay me. And we have nothing in the database. Okay, good. So if I run init, it did something, and we have to give me a migrations table. Cool. Okay, so, whoops. In here, oh, what's up? So why not? No instance for configuration error. Ah. Interesting. Why did that not complain previously? Configuration error, deriving show and equal. I don't know why it thinks that's an error. It's very confusing. Especially because it actually does compile and run. Okay, the error's gone away now. Strange. I was peeking out, I think, I guess. Okay, in this directory, migrations, I guess we should number them. And I'll call this one create ledger entries. And here we can say create table ledger entries, and I can't remember what we want in here, but we want some kind of ID, which is a UID. Primary key. Primary key, how do you specify things? What else do we have in our ledger? We'll have some kind of ID, we'll have an amount and a date time. Okay. So amount is going to be, let's just say it's an int 64. That needs to be not null. Need to say not null here. Actually, even null primary key doesn't make sense. And what did I say? It was called a date time. I called it a date time. It seems strange. And is date time not null? Will that work? My SQL is not great anymore. I used to be quite good at SQL, but not anymore. Okay, if I say migrate, I mean, that's good, I guess. I have an error. Do I need commas? Does anyone know how to write SQL? int64 does not exist. Is it big end? Getting closer. Date time does not exist. Okay, this is it something like time with zone or UTC time? Let's guess at types. Not UTC time. Time with zone. Nope. Make it a time. Not quite. That? Syntax error at or near module. Oh, that's okay. I see what it's doing. So putting the binary in the same direction as migrations is not cool, it seems, because it then tries to load every file, not just files that end in .sql. Can I fix that in any trivial way? Migration script, no, sorry, migration directory. So what's that actually doing? It's not telling me much about it at all. But it takes a file path, so yeah, it's not going to be good. Let me go to 12 file. I will just change this so that's what's going to be called migrate. I'll move it to a directory called migrate, and then I will go to main, and I'll bring this up. Let's do it this way. So, library directory. You fool! I've never done this with the mouse. No, don't do it there. That's not good. Look at that. Migrate. Drag main into there. Ooh, look at that. Can you believe it? And restart LSP because I moved files without telling it. Okay. So back to fish. Let's get rid of that for a second, and let's say set minus x that. No equal because fish. Okay, and then she will say ql run migrate. And it's rebuilt it and give me a usage line, which is good. So migrate. Okay, didn't say anything. So back to my SQL, and there we go. Now a table called ledger entries. ID, not null, might begin not null, time without time zone. Not super happy about time without time zone, but let's go with it for now. Is there a down? I have to read how this library actually works. So we have default options, run migration, migrations. No, I guess you just keep moving forward. The thing actually is, when you call run migrations, it gives you back IO migration result string. So I could maybe try printing that. I could just say print that thing. Nope. Okay, this thing. Okay, so I can say the result is this, and then we can say case result of, what were the constructors? It was migration error, migration success. So migration success, and that wait a second, it gives me back migration result string, but the string is the type of the error. It's not telling me what actually worked. Okay, that's a bit disappointing. So migration success, I guess we can say postgresql-in migrated. This isn't initialized, so it probably shouldn't be there. So this is the result. DB initialized. Not really DB, as its migrations are initialized. And migration error with some error is postgresql-in failed to run, failed to initialize migrations and the error. And here it'll be failed to run migrations. And then you say all migrations run or something. Okay, probably should import these things. Okay. I mean, it's just saying all migrations run, which I guess is fine. If I delete everything in the database, so drop table ledger entries and drop table schema migrations. Oops. And then I run init again. Migrations initialized, and then migrate. Migrations run. The reason I dropped it is because I wanted to change something. I forgot to change it. But anyway, time without zone is good enough for now, because what I really want is the connection pooling. But I have something here. I'm also just snakily going to insert some data. So ledger entries. Is there a helper function for generating UIDs? Let's find out. Select. I get to all the functions like UUID, that's not going to be a function, is it? PostgresQL UID generate v4. UID function is gen random UID. So select gen random UID. Okay. So now I can say insert into I don't want to do this every time. So back into my migrate, let's have a new command. So we can say seed. Seed with connection. So we'll take a connection and produce an IO action. seed with the connection is do, and now we don't want PostgreSQL migrations, we want PostgreSQL-simple, I think. Actually, they're just SQL files, right? Just needs to remember to run them and not run them again. Okay. So in theory, we could do this. Failed to run, failed to create seed data, and then all seed data created. Just do that, I think. So now we can say seeds ledger entries.sql, and it's just SQL. So insert into ledger entries values, and then it was gen something, gen random UID. The function. Let me just specify what these are I'm putting into. So we're going to do UID and amount and date time, which isn't really a date time, annoyingly. So amount can be like 110, and now put a couple of these in, so we'll put a -1 in, and we can say, a debit of 20, and then 150, 180. That'll do. 87, let's be crazy. So, back to here, if I just say seed, not quite. Column UID doesn't exist, is that because I called it ID? Did indeed call ID. That makes sense, I guess, because it might not be UID in future. Who knows? In here. Okay. Try it again. All seed data created, and back to here, and select star from ledger entries. Look at that. We have some IDs, we have some amounts, and we have a time. Okay, and just check this works by exist. So if I run it again, it should say all seed data created, but not change anything. That's my expectation. Good, did not change anything. Okay, now we have some data. Okay, here we got a connection. So what I want to do for now, just to get this working in the next 20 minutes, maybe, is I want to change this to return a pool, but then I'll run a query here. So I want to say query using connection, and I'm going to say select star from ledger entries. So we'll run it, and it's not only I, it is a tuple consisting of an ID and an amount. And let's just pull out ID and amount for a second. So amount is going to be an int. And ID, I wonder if I can treat ID as a string just for a second. But I will come back to it and see if I can then treat it as a UID. Can't call it ID, so let's call it entry ID. Okay, back to here. I'll run aim. Interesting, okay. So, error Haskell type is text, types incompatible, but what is incompatible? I'm guessing it's the UID, but what thing is not compatible? Or is it, maybe it's not UID at all? Like, we can pull back only amount, I guess. But I want to select two things. The whole point of this is select multiple fields. What I'm hoping is I can do this and this. I'll say A2. I just want to see if I can select two columns. No. Okay. So I can't just say put in a tuple. So postgresql-simple. Okay, so X's. A list of values. Nope. Extraction results. So X's looks to me like X's is a list or a container of some kind of name and age here. It's not because I put brackets around stuff, is it? That'd be weird. Maybe it's not weird. Be surprising to me. Ooh, nope. Pattern match failure in do block. Here. Okay, so they get back list of X's and then say for everything in X's, you get back a tuple containing a name and an age, the things they're selecting here. And then the name is probably text and age is probably int. Recurrently ask for a query template which matches the elements we specify in the result tuple. If they do not match, the result error exception will be thrown. And I've got a different thing here. Okay. Oh, hang on, wait. I've said it's a list containing a single tuple. Right. X's. And then I do want the 4M. And here we, oh, I can grab the ID here. And it was, they call it like the entry ID. And the amount got that. Do they ever do? They don't have a dollar. Okay, let me just import form for a second. And then we'll print now say postgresql-in. I'll need to do multiple things here. So amount is an int. Oh, those need to be a print, sorry. And then this can be entry ID, which is going to be a string. String. Let's see if we can have it as a string. It might be text. Might not be either. It might be UID. I get this nonsense again. Do that for a second. Oh. Let's not get rid of it. Nope. SQL type is record. It's got a field as row, I don't know what that means. Haskell type is text, and the types are incompatible. Did I miss something? I copied this. So for x's, then function which takes, oops, in this case name and age, but in my case enter the amount, and I've got 2 lines, but I've got 1, but that should be right. Can I say something like postgresql-in of show that, and then here, can I just do something weird like let underscore equal that? I don't want to do anything with it, I just want to discharge it, but maybe it doesn't work. Let me try the multiple amount thing again. Trouble is because of type inference, if I don't know what's coming back, or don't know what x's is, I can't print it out because the compiler doesn't know either. Let me call this amount and a2. Do we want params in the select? Maybe we don't. Maybe that was the problem. Okay, so I'm now selecting 2 things. You are correct. It was the parentheses. Thank you. Okay. So instead of selecting amount, can I select ID? And then we will have the entry ID and the amount. We have something like entry ID, so I'm going to force it to be a string. Something like that. Not quite. Okay, so SQL type is UID, Haskell type is text. I need to convert them somehow. So can I say show this of type UID? Will that magically work? Oh, it did magically work. That really surprised me. Cool. Okay. Right. This dummy ledger returns a list of ledger entries. So can I create a list of ledger entries? A ledger entry consists of an amount of date time, but I actually want it to be an ID, which is currently a UID. And in theory, I can import that. This will need to take a UID. And take it there, and then here. Do the same thing here. And here. Okay. But the summing of it should work the same because it should take the ledger amount. Okay, so we have our X's, or a list of ledger entries. Can we say let me ledger, and this is a list, so for every list I want to turn it into turn it to ledger entry. Which I said I cannot import. Let's change that just for now. Put a D in it so it knows what it is. And it should have imported, it'll get it wrong. Does it every time? That. And then the brackets. And for this, I'll need ID amount and time. I think it was called date time. So everything in dummy ledger. I just want to print it. Get rid of that and that. And then with the print out, the dummy ledger. Okay, and then we should be able to get rid of this. We're going to F off over X's. Okay. Not quite. What's the type of dummy ledger here? So ledger entry has 3 arguments, ID amount and this. Couldn't match time to ledger entry with ledger entry. Why does it think it's time to ledger entry though? Why does it think X is a list of UIDs? That's a mistake. Okay, we would to be very explicit about this. So we get some X coming from the database, but the X is going to be an entry ID and an amount and a time, and we'll say ledger entry of those things. can't do that. So ledger entry of the entry ID and the amount and the time. Not really sure why I had to specify that. Okay, I'm hoping now if I run it, it'll print out these some of these ledger entries. Aha. Okay. The SQL type is time and Haskell is UTC time. So PostgreSQL types UTC time. Time. I want the types of this. Time with timestamp, time with time zone, timestamp with time zone. I think it looks like timestamp with time zone might be the thing we're looking for. But I don't know if that will automatically convert into a UTC time. Do I need it to? I really want to do database pooling. It's gonna be awkward. Okay. Let me no, I do want it. I'll have to load it at some point. Let's work it out. Okay, so my schema somewhere. It's not this, it's time zone. No, timestamp with zone. Okay, so if I go back to the database and I just delete the tables. And then somewhere I can run my grade init, migrate, ooh, with, okay, time with time zone, is that what it needs to be? Does that work? Yes, it does. Okay. And then I should be able to see it. Okay, and then cabal run pain. That was enough to fix it. Good. Just get the types right. Okay. So here we have a ledger entry, we have an amount, we have a date time. That looks good, and then it does sum them up. So yeah. That looks right. Okay, connection pooling. I'm out of time. That's annoying. Right, next week, definitely connection pooling. Unless it's really, really quick. I don't think it will be really quick. Because what can we do as a pool? So you call with resource, I think, to do a thing. Okay, let me see if I can just really quickly. That doesn't sound like it's going to work though, but let's try anyway. So this is what we want to grab. Oops. Can I copy and paste? That's always the most difficult thing, right? So in my main program, no, not there at all. Well, I'll need it both places actually for now. So in the library, I'm going to use resource pool. I'm going to put this into the database. But I believe I will also need it in the main executable because that's going to use with resource. So db.hs, what we don't want an IO connection anymore. We want an IO pool. And we want to import that. Oh, IO of pool of connection. Right. Okay, to create the connection, it was new pool, and then it takes config. The new pool, and all it needs is a config. Okay. So I can then say default pool config. And what's in there is going to be an action that creates a new resource. So that's this. I think. Let me start importing these things. Okay, an action that creates it, an action that destroys it, which is close, which comes from there. Then the number of seconds, keep it around for, so let's keep it around for 10 seconds before we close it. And then the maximum number to keep open, let's create a pool of 5. Okay, those should really come from config. Is it easy to put them into config? Yeah, not quite yet. I'll do it next time if I remember. Okay, back in main, so we don't have a connection anymore, but here we should be able to say with resource, and where I've lost it now. Where was with resource? With resource, then we give it the pool, so that's connection, do, and then this stuff. Let's put everything under there. Okay, let me say import that. Maybe we could just say actually exit comes from that. We don't need to do anymore. Or this. Not quite. And we have a connection. We get exits back, and then we say pure exits. Still not good. So this with resource will take a pool, which is good, we got that, and then something, a function which goes from that connection to IO of R. Okay, so we have something which takes a connection. Let's get rid of that. So we need to say db.connect config. Oh, yeah. It should actually be called connect, it should be called pool. So we have something that takes a connection, sorry, does this. Maybe, maybe not. Wrong number of brackets. Getting closer. Okay, so now, right. Okay, so now I need to pull, come from running this. Okay, so we take our pool, we use it as we get a connection out of there, we use it to run this query, and then we do some stuff. Does that work? Yes, it does. Okay, cool. We now have a connection pool of 5 connections. That's quite nice. This thing I want to rename. Will it rename it for me? Probably not. Oh, I renamed it there. And here. Cool. Okay. That's cool. I think that's kind of it. So next time I will do more stuff, I guess. I'll try and tidy up this pool a little bit so it uses config better, and then I'll start looking at how I create a connection pool and pass it into something that does some real work rather than just inlining all the code in main. Yeah, cool. But thanks for watching along. Thanks for pointing out the stray brackets, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.